Hello everyone! How is everybody today? Welcome to the MudRoom, our weekly free and live uncommon sense parenting class. I hope you're having a great start to your February. It is so nice and sunny and bright here, and it's warming up just a wee bit, so my kids are finally playing outside again. I am so done with winter, which is unfortunate because it is only February. But we have so much less snow this year, so I'm praying, I'm hoping that we get an early spring. So I hope you are also having great weather and getting to enjoy some outside time. February is also Black History Month, so I want to acknowledge that. And while I personally am far from an expert, I wanted to let you know that as I'm finding them, I'll be posting resources for Black History Month from people who are experts, both on the Uncommon Sense Parenting Facebook page and in my Instagram stories. So if you're not following me over on Insta, my handle over there is Parenting Posse, all smushed together as one word. All right. Before we jump into our topic today, I'd like to introduce myself for those of you who are new here. Hi, my name is Allana Robinson, and I'm a parenting coach for parents of toddlers, preschoolers, and kindergartners. I help you understand why your children are misbehaving and how to fix it without yelling, shaming, or timeouts. I am your host here on the MudRoom. I'm also the host of the Parenting Posse Facebook group, and I'm the creator of and the facilitator of the Parentability program, where I help you raise well-behaved kids of your own. If you are watching, please say hi. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how, the first couple of days of February are shaking out for you. I love, love, love when you guys chat back to me. It makes it a lot easier for this to be a conversation versus a lecture. So, today I'd like to talk about the Gap, not the clothing brand. Often when I'm talking to parents who are looking at joining Parentability or they're considering hiring me for one-to-one coaching, they want to know who most people are in Parentability. And it's come up often enough that I thought it would actually be a good thing to discuss on the MudRoom, because chances are others are wondering about this too. Nobody, absolutely nobody, wakes up and thinks to themselves like, I think I just need a parenting coach. Nobody. So who are these people who are in my program? What drives them to seek me out and to join Parentability? And it's actually a pretty straightforward answer. Most of the parents who are working with me have children who fall into what I call the gap. So what is the gap? Well, the gap is this absolute chasm that seems to open up in early intervention when you have a child whose behavior is disruptive. It is making it difficult or impossible for them to participate in their family life and their community life, and it has outstripped your personal abilities as a parent to manage, but it is quote unquote not bad enough to qualify that child for a diagnosis. Now, this isn't all the families in my program. We also have a good number who are just extremely proactive and really identify with my philosophy and want to set their child up for success as best they can. And we also have a growing number of parents who have kids who do have a diagnosis and are looking to supplement the services their child is receiving, either publicly or via insurance. But most of my clients fall into this gap where they're at the end of their rope, they don't know what to do anymore, but they've just been told to parent better, usually by their child's doctor, which, as you can imagine, is extremely unhelpful because most parents are already doing the best they know how to do. They're already trying their hardest. Nobody is manufacturing their child's behavioral challenges. Nobody is hoping their child will qualify for a diagnosis other than parents who are drowning and are praying that a diagnosis will guide them on how to fix this problem. Because there's two gates that keep most parenting support. The first is finances. Most parenting programs are very expensive. Rightfully so. They're run by experts, and those experts deserve to be appropriately compensated for their labor. But it does make it very difficult to access for most families. And the second is that diagnosis. Most child development behavioral programs are gate-kept by a diagnosis. You can't access it just by signing up for it. You need to prove to someone that your child needs it by providing their diagnosis. And the diagnosis also tends to alleviate that financial bit, because once you have a diagnosis, generally insurance will begin to cover intervention to an extent, whether that's socialized or not. So that leaves parents with kids who fall into the gap. Where exactly? Pretty much with books and figuring it out themselves. But there's something else that parents with challenging kids don't have a whole lot of, and that's time. Ask any parent of a young child how many books they've been able to consume lately. The answer, 9 times out of 10, is going to be big old goose egg, none. Because young kids need a lot of support. Kids with behavioral challenges need about 10 times that support. So their parents aren't generally sitting around with a whole bunch of time to read a book and figure out how the theory presented in the book translates into day-to-day action. Because in order for a book to be commercially successful, it needs to apply to a very broad audience, which means you don't get to go into specifics. So even if they had the time to figure out which books apply to their situation, read them, and then figure out how they all puzzle together and what doing it actually looks like, they probably aren't going to make much headway, which is very specifically why I didn't start my career by writing a book. So the families stuck in the gap are just stuck there. And I saw families stuck in the gap every single day as an early interventionist. They were the kids who were in preschool with my clients, and the teacher would pull me aside and be like, hey, is there any chance that you could help out so-and-so too? The parents are at the end of their rope, but the doctor says there's nothing wrong with them. Or we'd be at a community class like swimming lessons, and a child would be having an epic meltdown, and the mother would be clearly floundering, usually crying from embarrassment, and I'd be the only one who would be able to step in and offer help. Generally, once we got that child kind of calm, they'd pour out that they don't know what's wrong, but that the doctor says she's fine. Or I'd be online answering questions in mommy groups, and I couldn't scroll my feed without 3 or 4 posts coming up about parents trying everything and nothing is helping, and their doctor says we just need to be firmer. This wasn't just like once or twice a month. It was and is literally daily. I can't count how many times I'd hear comments about how my child, meaning the child with a disability that I was working with, was the best behaved child in the class despite having a diagnosis, despite being autistic or having Down syndrome or being blind or deaf or having CP or any other of the laundry list of diagnoses I've supported throughout my career. And the reason I stopped working specifically with children with diagnoses, despite their inclusion and their success being something I was and am still incredibly passionate about, was because often these kids in the gap were actually a massive barrier to my clients. It's hard enough to be the only autistic child in the class without Mark over there constantly throwing things when he gets mad. It's hard enough to have Down syndrome and be learning to swim without adding to it that Kara over here is melting down and pulling all the attention of the instructor and your interventionist because they're the only ones who knows what to do. It started to occur to me that if we could just support these parents and these families stuck in the gap and teach them how to use early intervention strategies to parent their kids at home, we'd actually create much safer and inclusive environments for the kids who do have a diagnosis. So that's how Parentability started. It's a low-cost, high-support environment where parents who are stuck in the gap can learn the same strategies that we use in early intervention with kiddos who have a diagnosis, but at home. It teaches you how to identify what is causing them stress, how to track that stress, how to create a routine and schedule that supports your child's best behavior, and how to build the skills with them through play that they need to successfully navigate the world. starting with school. So if you're listening to this and thinking, oh my God, we're stuck in the gap, or my kid has a diagnosis, but I still feel like we're stuck in the gap because our services aren't addressing our home life, or even, oh my God, I just want to make sure that my child never ends up in the gap. I'd like to invite you to check out my free workshop, How to Raise Well-Behaved Kids Without Yelling, Shaming, or Timeouts. It's about an hour long, but you can, and I totally encourage you to, watch it with a glass of wine while folding some laundry. And it explains 3 main mistakes that I see parents make that cause them to end up in the gap, and my framework for how I get parents out of the gap. And the link for that should be in the description, wherever that is. So I hope that that was helpful for those of you who've been wondering if parentability is for you or not. I hope that if you aren't in the gap, that it made you more aware of the gap and the unique challenges parents who are stuck in it face. And I hope it made you more aware of the impact the gap can have on children who are on the disability side of things. I also hope that, more than anything, if you are stuck in the gap, that you'll reach out and let me know you need help. The free workshop is a great place to start, so I hope you'll be able to catch that. But you can also shoot me a DM on the Uncommon Sense Parenting page or on Instagram, and we can discuss your options, because getting out of the gap is possible, and it doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to take over your life. You just need to be doing the right things consistently. All right. That's it for today. So I hope to see you again next week for another Uncommon Sense Parenting class. Have a great week, guys. Bye.